Welcome to another edition of the Bones of Advertising.
I'm John Douglas, and you are?
Well, yes, for today, I'm Sean Connery.
Oh, Sean.
Yes, shaken, not stirred.
What did you have for breakfast this morning, Sean?
I,
Go on, say it. Go on.
I had 7 sliced sausages. I wonder if that came off as well as what it came off in my head, because I don't reckon it did.
That is very, very good. I know a lot of people who like doing a Sean Connery, and that is one of the very, very best I've ever heard.
I've got to tell you, my favourite line of Sean's is when he talks to Moneypenny. Just the way he's so flirtatious. Yes, Miss Moneypenny. Love it. He's an absolute superstar. I tell you what an absolute gentleman. What a man.
And what about, like, they got away with all kinds of misogynist shit back in the day. Like, do you remember that line? He's in the casino and he asks that girl, he says, "What's your name?"
Oh,
and
no.
she says, "Pussy galore." He just says,
Of course you
"I'm
are.
sure it is." I'm sure it is. Like, nothing but everything. Like, it's just...
Yeah, I think the line, JD, might have been, "Of course you are."
Like,
Anyway.
and that's awful. Like, I don't condone it, but you look back and you go, haven't we come a long way since?
Tell you what, Cubby Broccoli, who was, you know, the driving force behind it for so long, he got away with so much, you know, and with Ian Fleming, I mean, obviously James Bond was Ian Fleming's alter ego, what he wanted to be in life, and who he purported to be, and it sort of came out in the manifestation of these books. But God, just the days are so different, right? Such a different world that we're in now.
Yeah, I really like the emergence of the female superhero.
Yes.
So there's been Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman, but there's also these fantastic movies like Red Sparrow and Hannah, and like, you look at them and they're like, you know, they're not like Die Hard. Nothing's like Die Hard, because, you know, nothing's always quite like Bruce.
Like Bruce.
But they're just like this. They're great, just escapist stuff, and it just goes. You know, you don't need, you know, that little sexual byplay. You don't need flirting. You just need bloody guns and, you know, people getting their throats cut.
Haven't we headed off down a bloody rabbit hole? Where have we gone?
And you know why we've done that? Because that's where ideas come from, and that's the bone I'd like to pick today.
Right. What? So you're talking ideas, where they come from?
I'm talking about the big idea, my friend. I'm talking about where we get the big idea from.
I like it. That sounds to me like one that we can definitely pull apart.
Yeah. And do you know the sad news? I've got props. I've got props. I do. I've got props. That's not the sad news.
We're starting with the prop.
It started with a prop. No. The really sad idea is no one really knows where big ideas come from.
No.
So let me illustrate with a point. Here's the biggest idea, almost the biggest idea ever discovered, ever.
Right?
Ready?
Oh. The apple falling from the tree.
Isaac Newton's gravity, my friend.
Right.
And he said that watching the apple fall from the tree in a straight line crystallized for him all of the study that he'd made over years, decades. And it all just crystallized in his head. But he couldn't really tell you where it came from. So he did a whole lot of all this background kind of thinking. And then he saw this.
Did you do that well? One more time.
Would you like to see it? Hang about. I'll do it so no one even knows I've got an apple.
Oh, we'll have to slow that frame down. We'll have to go like 100 frames per second.
And you can see the panic in my eye, hoping that it doesn't fall into my coffee cup.
Or worse, mate, fall and hit the Jack's crackers.
Talking about sliced sausages, yes.
Yeah, it might be a squash sausage.
Squash sausage. That was good. They were good. I tell you what, that was one of the best ideas I have ever seen. Was club buggery and Roy and HG at the Olympics.
Yeah.
You remember that when they called the gymnastics? The the squash sausage and the flat bag and the.
Wow. Those two almost got away with a whole lot of stuff back in the day as well, you know.
But times change. You kind of have to. If you don't move with the times.
Yeah, right.
Certainly in advertising, then your ideas aren't. They just don't connect with people, and you really need to have. You need to be as aware of the culture, I think, for an idea to work.
Yep.
Like there's some ideas that would have been absolutely brilliant 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but now they're just, times move on.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the point of big ideas, JD, is how do you come up with them? And from an agency point of view, one of the great things that we do on a very regular basis is get together to talk about, usually it comes at campaign time, we're putting together a campaign concept for a client, or we're putting together a pitch, that's generally, so following on from, the free creative pitch that we tell them to.
Yeah. Let's go back there.
Let's not go back there. But the most ludicrous thing in advertising, but it is the way it is. So at a point in time, you do have to come up with something that you're going to share. And let's look at it more from a campaign point of view, not so much the pitch. But we do it on a regular basis with everyone in. So talk about the brief. Everyone gets some time prior to look at what it is that we're putting together. And we'll just start with the words. We generally will start with the words, the top line of what we're thinking about from a campaign perspective. And then from there, it'll turn from words into, okay, what could it potentially look like? And mood boards or a feel or a sense of what it could look like. And then thinking about how it can manifest from the big idea into each of the mediums with which it needs to be displayed. So, it's a really good process of starting and turning up with a few ideas. So when you turn up to those think tanks, you're not coming in raw, just going, okay, I only just read the brief 5 seconds ago. You've jotted down 3 or 4 top line things that you're going to share with everyone. And then you put it into the melting pot. And that's where the creativity really starts to take over. And our philosophy of no bad ideas has been amazing at fostering young talent and old talent like me. Talent, maybe that's loose when you talk about me. Maybe very loose.
I was going to say, don't go saying that about yourself.
let's not call myself talent. Let's just call me old. But ultimately, about getting those ideas on the table and really working together to bring them to something that is worthy of the word idea.
Yeah, the hard bit, I think, for in a lot of agencies, and it can work in places where people trust each other.
Yeah.
Like there's an enormous amount of trust. So here's the easiest way. Here you go. Here's the easiest. I just need to give this a little bit more. I'm not going to drop an apple. No. Here's the easiest way to kill an idea. You ready?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. I've seen ideas killed like this. Like that. There's a bullet in the side of the copywriter. Just.
Yep. And what does it look like when an idea gets life, JD? What does the response look like?
Oh, wow,
yeah.
Yeah. Like you really need to approach things with an open heart. I love that quote by now I'm going to get all literature on you. Victor Hugo, I think, who wrote Les Miserables. He said, an idea, there is nothing so fragile as a newborn idea. It can be killed with a sigh.
Yep.
But that was Siri. That was Siri.
You're asking for an idea, Siri. Siri, give me an idea. That's the Gen Y. Oh gosh.
Yeah. What's a good idea for this ad, Siri?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got here we go. This is this idea got up. It's not an advertising idea, but this idea got up. You ready? This is the other prop I bought.
You're getting married to Mrs. Douglas, is it? That idea got up.
No. Oh, I could. That was a that was a great idea that almost didn't get off the ground because of the execution.
Yeah,
but I'll
right.
tell you about that another day.
Okay.
Here you go. Here you go. So this is, there you go. Can you see that? Can all the listeners see that? This is an old-fashioned way of sharing my screen. So, right. Makes no sense, does it? Makes absolutely no sense at all.
None.
That was a sketch by a very, very famous architect whose name is Frank Gehry.
Okay.
And Frank Gehry designed this. And that is the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao.
Right.
One of the world's great architectural landmarks.
Okay.
It's a great design. It's right up there with the Sydney Opera House. It's, you know, it is considered, it's just amazing. Like, look at it. Like, it's just,
right.
where does that idea come from? It comes from there.
And is that the actual sketch you printed off, or did you just...
That's the actual sketch.
Really?
That's his first idea.
Right.
He's like, I'll do this and do this, and then we'll do this. And a lot of people...
I'll do this, I'll do this.
I'll do this, I'll do this. And then, and it's amazing that the client didn't go...
Are you sure the client didn't? And he might have been strong enough to push through the...
He may well have been. He may well have been. But no, it probably... If I know my creative people, it's probably gone from that squiggle to something kind of more like that.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's starting to make sense.
And then into the thing. But it's how you get from, I've got this idea in my head, down onto something that you can then share with other people, that you can then build into a robust enough concept that you can then rationalize as to why it meets the brief.
Yep.
So,
one thing that I wanted to touch on, JD, is when do you know you've got a good one? How do you know you've got a good one? Like, there's lots that percolate, lots that percolate, that come to the fore. When do you know? What's the point when you're going through the process that you go, yeah, this is big. This is real big.
yeah, when it first comes out, I don't necessarily think you know it's going to be big, but you know it's an idea because I've never seen that before. Like, it's a really fresh perspective and it makes sense based on what you're actually trying to say. So if you look at Dumb Ways to Die, you know, just fantastic.
Ripper.
And what it said was, the brief was, let's stop children running across train tracks when the lights are down. Like, and in most instances, the advertising campaign would be, don't run across the tracks when the lights are down. Like,
yeah, or pictures of some parents having lost a child. Like, that's the go-to.
Yeah.
Not in this case.
No. And the thing was, and there's a whole lot of mythology around it, and I know a couple of the personalities involved in the creation of that. Someone said, that's a really dumb way to die. And that led to, that's really interesting. Like, that's an interesting perspective. No one actually says that's a dumb way to die. It's a really childish way. Oh, that's a childish way of looking at it. And who are we talking to? Who are we talking to? Children.
And that's the way it came to pass, right?
I believe. I mean, I think if you talk to the people who actually created it, they would probably be, no, it was long nights and many deep discussions about the psychological impact of.
You reckon? I don't know that they would, JD. I don't know. I reckon they'd be like you. They'd be like, you know what? We've nailed it. They've kind of got to it however they got to it. And I reckon they'd be like, you know what? This speaks to kids. It's using the technology. It's got a ripping song that's going to go under. I reckon it came to pass where they just kind of had that light bulb moment where it's like, boom, this is going to change change behaviour. And that's really what it was designed to do.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so they had that. Here's the bit that was, I think, a little bit of genius. I think Dumb Ways to Die is a really clever idea. I think it's a really good insight into the way kids think.
Yep.
But then to actually turn it into a cartoon.
Yeah.
To have a jingle that sounds like it's fun, it's a dumb way. But the amount of craft that went into,
yep.
we're gonna have a cartoon. We're gonna have it's going to be a cartoon feel. It's going to be a happy jingle. It's going to be like all of these disgusting ways to die illustrated. Like each one of those is a decision that brings an idea to life. So the idea itself is this amorphous kind of thing that is best enunciated by, that's a really dumb way to die.
Yeah.
But there's no weeping adults. There's no trains. There's no. So each one of those is a decision that at any stage, someone could have said, the clients would have said, well, we've got to show a train. And it's like, because we're the trained people and that's our product.
Yeah, but if you've got smart enough people in the room, JD, which obviously they did, they can go from, we've got to show, very sad parents, we've got to show a train, to, no, we don't. This is more powerful than doing what's expected.
Yeah.
Challenge the logic.
And that's the secret.
Yes.
What is expected and what is everyone else in the category doing? Because customers, people who buy a product, let's not talk about trains anymore, people who buy a product don't see a category. They don't go, oh, I'm going to buy something now from the laundry category.
I'm going to the beverage category, James. I'll purchase something from the beverage aisle. It doesn't happen like that.
No, they don't think like that. So all you need to do is you need to say, what is the thing that's going to get me noticed?
Yeah.
And the thing that will get you noticed is taking a fresh perspective. And that's the simplest way I can think of. If you take a different perspective, taking a different perspective, that's what an idea is. This is Isaac Newton going,
in the story, JD, he was lying down and he was lying in a field and watched the apple fall from, like, I don't know the whole story, but isn't that, he was just lying down, looking up, and he's like, boom.
Yep. And he noticed that they all just fell, they fell straight down. Yeah. And so, but because it was a different perspective, because he'd been stood up looking at it, because he was lying down, I was like, no, it still falls. That must mean, hang about, all that stuff that I've been thinking about, bang, 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 gravity.
And you know what else, JD? Another great one is, you're a fantastic writer, and I love the writing. I mean, I dabble, I really enjoy it as well. And I've been blessed with some ability around, songs and scripts and bits and pieces. But the key to what we do is really having some great people on, the computer that can bring that to life. Like, to be able to then sell the idea into a client is really about connecting then with, I'm not a designer, I'm not a graphic designer, and you're not a graphic designer, but
you can tell.
Working with someone who is really, really good at their craft. Yeah. But then it comes down to you being able to articulate the idea and how it should come to life in an ad of some sort. So if we pitch and we go out with a poster, let's just say we're going out with a billboard as the primary component of the deck, we want to show the client the idea. We've got to work our way through there. We've got to go through that process of the message. Like you said, you want to have a really good rationale as to why that message is going to impact the best prospect. Then why the picture comes to life, how did you get to the point of that particular picture, or the component of the picture, or the celebrity, or whatever it is that we put into the picture that's going to help sell the idea. And then the sub-copy line that's driving them or directing them out to whatever it is that we want them to do, click, go in store, sign up, whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to have that connection to that real talent to bring it to life into something that looks like an ad.
Yeah, absolutely. And selling it is a skill, and there's another little bone we can pick
Yeah.
another time.
Here's one question to end on, JD, which is a massive one for me, and I love this.
Sean Connery's best movie was Dr. No. There you go. There's the answer to your question.
Okay, well, let's just thanks. That's another edition of the Bones of Advertising. Is there such a thing? Let me try that one more time. Is there such a thing as a new idea?
Oh, if I have seen further, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants.
Yes, my friend, indeed, we have.
I think there are some genuinely new ideas. I absolutely do. I mean, without genuinely new ideas, there would be no wheel. You know, there would be no theory of gravity. There would be no theory of relativity. There would be no, and as much as there are new ideas in art, like Jackson Pollock deciding to chuck house paint on a canvas and selling it for $3.5 million, you know, like there are new ideas in art, and there are new ideas in technology, and there are new ideas in, you know, society. There's all kinds of new ideas all the time. Generally, they are evolutions of something else.
Yep. I think that's a really good point to make, mate. I think that evolution is a real good point to make. But I'm with you. I believe there are new and fresh ideas. I mean, I honestly do.
Communications idea is still the best legal advantage you can have over your competitors. And the way you find a better perspective is not to look where everyone else has looked in your category. Forgetting about what I just said about categories before, because, you know, I'm a strategist and I could go where I bloody like. So don't look in the middle where everyone else is looking.
Yep.
Look on the outside of the category, and especially where that meets another category.
Yep.
That's where you'll find an interesting perspective, and that's where you're more likely to find interesting ideas that connect better with customers.